It's the 401k question. So I don't have the choice of halal options for 401k. I have contributed completely in stocks, no bonds. But what do I have to do about financial sector of 401k? How do I calculate it out every year and average of percentage when I am 65? Who would like to answer?
I can take it. Oh, okay, no problem. So the question was, I have no halal options in my 401k. I've stayed in stocks. MashaAllah, whoever this is, you did the right thing. When I had no options, I actually called Moneem. Moneem, you want to raise your hand? Moneem is a deputy portfolio manager at Amana Mutual Funds. I was not working for Amana at the time, and I knew Moneem. So when I was at a company and I didn't have a choice, like the person that asked the question, I called someone that does work there. So you call Salah, call Fatima, and I asked them, hey, listen, these are the choices. And at the time, I did mostly technology and healthcare to try to stay away from riba. Moneem looked at the companies that were in there to say, hey, okay, this might be okay. It sounds like the person's doing the same thing. Whoever you are, come talk to us. Moneem's going to be at our booth, and he knows more about this than I do, and we'll help you sort through it. So you're asking, how can I figure out how much of it is financials and how much to take out? This is a question that more like we would go towards some ulama to ask them, but we'll definitely help you the best way you can. You did the right thing. I told you early on, I did not save because I just didn't want to be in any any non-Islamic funds. Looking back, I don't think that was the right decision. I believe what the brother is doing and then what I started doing later on in life, which is to actually participate in your 401k, take the match and try to pick the companies that are the least of the haram companies, stay away from the bonds like he said he's doing, is your best bet. And we will help you the best we can. And the second thing that I would tell you is many companies, they've just gotten one or two Muslims together and they said, hey, HR, we want you to offer us ethical funds. Alhamdulillah, all of our funds fall into the ethical guidelines because we stay away from the alcohol, the weapons, things along those lines. And then now, alhamdulillah, the Amana Fund is ranked as one of the best sustainable funds as well. So if you keep that in mind, that's a way to get halal funds, maybe not on your platform, but to get the open brokerage or the self-directed open.
And the other part of the question was, where's the booth?
C25.
C25. And would you like to?
A question here is asking as to why Azad and Iman X or the payment fund went down yesterday by one by 6% and one I think by 8%. I'm not sure exactly what the percentage was. Usually at the end of the year, mutual funds declare dividends, and the dividends is made up of basically capital gain that is made during the year. So it has to be declared by, according to the tax law. So that's what the IRS requirement is. So what happens is that it goes into really additional shares that are distributed to the people who stay. Unfortunately, for people who don't have it in 401k or a Roth IRA or a regular IRA, what happens is that you have to actually declare income. You have to recognize that income on your tax return. But what happens is that you can also increase your basis in your investment, and therefore your capital gain in the future would be less. But it's not a decline in the value of your investment. It's only a paper thing that happens where the dividends is reduced, but you get additional shares. So if you multiply the additional shares by the value, it comes out to exactly the same thing as the previous day. So it should not change. Second question here is that when they are looking for investment options, the term compounded interest is used. Is it a term that literally refers to interest accrual, or does it refer to a growth and investment on the halal way? The compounding, if you don't really understand it, is that if you make $100 1 year, and the yield is 5%, it's 105 multiplied by the following year. So if you make another 5%, it's a 105 multiplied by 5. So now it's a 111 versus. So that's what compounding is. It means that you on an annual basis, you take your accumulated earning, your principal earnings initially, plus accumulated earnings, and then it compounds. So that's how it's done.
That's
So thank you, everyone. We have a lot of questions here. We're just trying to pick the most common ones, but we're definitely going to be up here, the three of us, afterwards. You're welcome to come, and we'll try to answer a few more. We have time for a few more? Okay. So we have another question about this. What is the source of the 5% from secondary source being haram? I think it's something Amjad and I both discussed.
sure.
So this is something, again, whenever we have the screening process and we take a look at the company, we have to see where the revenue is coming from. Now, the company may have less than 5% revenue coming from an impure source. This does not mean that that's okay. There may be, because again, that's not the main intention of purchasing that security, like Amjad was mentioning with Southwest. You're purchasing the stock for the intention that it provides, travel, and the insignificant amount is something that, again, is only tolerated when it can be purified. So again, the scholars, because of that, that's where that 5% restriction came from. Another question that we got is the stock market versus gambling. What is the difference? That's a great question, especially when people talk about the stock market. People think of day traders and speculation and guessing whether the market is going to go up and down. And that's definitely not what we're talking about here today. We're talking about fundamental investments where you actually look at the underlying company. What is that company doing? What are the services and products it's producing? And you're actually making a long-term investment with a fundamental basis, really understanding what that company is doing. So in this case, we're not looking at speculation. And that would, I would say, be one of the main differences between the stock market and gambling. And then we're getting several questions from students who are asking questions about paying off their student loans, what they should do about that. If you've saved it, when somebody asks, alhamdulillah, I finally saved enough to pay off my student loans, but I keep getting mixed advice on how I should pay it off. Should I just pay it all off at once? Of course, I don't know the specific situation, but in almost all circumstances, I would say yes. The reason is that whenever you pay off your loans, first of all, you're now going to be improving your cash flow. So from an Islamic perspective, you're getting rid of the debt. You're going to see the barakah in that. While that may not be measurable in dollars in your bank account, you're going to be able to have improved cash flow, which you can probably now start investing without worrying about what's going to happen if suddenly I can't pay my student loan off. So in that circumstance, I would definitely highly recommend it.
Okay, inshallah, I'll take the last few. Someone asked, what if I give a bank like Wells Fargo, they ask them not to take the interest and to give it away monthly. Can you please refer to a couple of credible halal investments? I think credible halal investments you guys have heard about. To find out more, you can come to our booths. And then, do we provide coaching? As I mentioned, if anyone is here, please come by. This is one of the best times. You'll have the ability to talk to financial professionals. We're here to help. There's no cost. So, this is a great way to get advice. We do provide coaching, whether now or later. Someone asked if you can call, and if their students understand if they're on minimum wage, how to best go about doing things. Like Fatima mentioned about the student loans. These are questions that we get often. We just got it yesterday, and the advice by Monium to the person was exactly the same. Pay it off first. Because if you wanted a guaranteed return, your guaranteed return is that you won't be paying the 4%, 6%, 8%, whatever the interest is. And that's the return you're getting by paying that off right away. If someone's giving you other advice, you have to see, A, is their advice Islamically sound? Because if you know it's interest and you shouldn't be doing it, that's one. And B, even from most financial advisors, the advice now we've seen from Monium and Fatima, the same, that it is sound advice to pay off your debt. The last thing that I'll take real quick, did the standards change over time? And the standards did change a little bit. It's too complicated to get into in a session like this, but as Fatima said, we'll be here. Then the last one, what's the relationship between Saturna and Amana? Any mutual fund has to hire a brokerage company to do the paperwork, to make sure everything is correct. So Saturna is a brokerage firm. If you wanted to come to use Amana, that's one of the best places to go. You'll get service by us, and you'll notice that some of the the expense ratios are better when you come directly when you're doing IRAs and retirement accounts and things along those lines. Jazakallahu khairan.